Thank you everyone for joining us. Obviously, these are different times. Usually we have this open house in our office, but given everything that's going on, we're doing it via Zoom. So thanks for attending. I'm Mark Dow. I'm one of the principals here at O'Connor and Drew. We're a regional firm. We have two offices, one in Braintree and one in Winchester, north of Boston. Braintree is our largest location. So today, I thought at the outset here, I would just give you a little bit of an introduction as to who we are, what we do here at the firm, and then more importantly, get on to what this could mean for you and how it could come into play in your career. So again, we're O'Connor and Drew. We would be considered a regional firm or a mid-sized firm. Altogether, we have about 125 employees. A little more than 100 of those are in the accounting and tax division of the firm. And then we also have a information technology audit group. That's around 25 people at this point. So altogether, we're around 125 or 130 people. So given that size, we'd be considered a regional size firm. Certainly there are firms that are smaller than us, and obviously you all know of some of the large accounting firms in the country. Within that 125, we do accounting and audit work, as well as tax. We do have a separate tax department. If someone, as they get on in their career, wants to specialize in tax, we have a separate group that does that of about 14 or 15 people. And then outside of the normal tax and accounting work, we also get involved in business valuations. We do some forensic and internal audit work. And by the nature of our practice, all of our clients are privately held. They're not publicly traded companies. We get involved in quite a bit of consulting and business advisory to those clients as well. It's not something you would do day one, but eventually, as you pick up certain skills and get to understand sort of how businesses tick, then you could get involved in some business consulting as well and business advisory. The firm itself, we have a few niches. On the commercial for-profit side of the business, one of our main niches is automobile dealerships. And then beyond that, we have manufacturers, distributors. We do a fair amount in the real estate industry as well as contractors. And then within our tax department, high net worth individual and some personal tax planning. And actually separate from the commercial side of the practice, we also have a pretty strong nonprofit and higher education practice. So while you're all in college, we actually audit quite a few of the colleges in Massachusetts, a lot of the state colleges, some of the smaller private colleges. And those clients are mostly junior ends, so that work happens outside of tax season, but it gives us a nice balance throughout so that we're busy during the whole year. A lot of people have heard of public accounting and see it as a lot of hours. It can be hard work. We're always working towards deadlines, but we try to find the right mix of working hard and making sure there's work-life balance as well. So that's become a more important thing in the last several years. And with the virus, it's even more, it's as important as ever. So that comes into play into making sure that we schedule people in a way that they can get their work done without it being too much of a burden. And again, just in terms of what we do, one of the biggest things is that clients come to rely on us to help them with a lot of their financial and accounting needs. When you serve a privately held business, you come to know a lot about the business, a lot about the owners, and at some point they rely on you to provide not just accounting and tax advice, but other financial advice and other business planning. So when the pandemic hit, when there were lots of government stimulus programs, our firm got very involved in helping clients sort through all of that. So that's, and that's a distinction between a firm our size and a much larger firm, which might be centered mostly on just financial audits. So the mix and the exposure that you would get at a firm our size is certainly a distinguishing factor. It might not be for everyone, but it's important to understand that when you're trying to sort out the size firm that might make the most sense for you. In terms of the industry, a lot of people think accounting can be boring or dry, but if you work in public accounting, it's fast paced. You're going from one client to the next. You're working in different industries. You're working to solve different problems. And at times it's busy. So there are many, many days that just kind of fly by. And along the way, you're learning a lot. CPAs can become CFOs, and CFOs can become CEOs. So if you look at some of the bigger companies in the country, a lot of the CEOs probably have an accounting or finance background. And really, that's what makes the business fun, is that we come to understand the financial aspect of our clients, obviously, and we have to help them with their accounting and financial reporting. But the fun side is we come to understand their business and what makes them profitable and how they handle personnel and how they handle their banking needs. And we get to see that total picture. And as the years go on, you can become an advisor to those clients for sure their accounting and tax needs, but also to help them with their business. So again, just as an introduction to the rest of the day, I guess I would try to keep this in mind if I was sitting in your shoes. It's kind of like, well, what could this mean to me? I'm an accounting major, and I'm entering my senior year. There's going to be a big change when I finally come out of the learning phase and out of school and enter the world. What does it look like for me? The good news is that there are lots of jobs in accounting. Over the last decade, it's been, I think it's one of the majors that's translated the most to obtaining a job. So probably all your parents would be happy to hear that. So there are definitely jobs out there. And then in the last few years, there's probably been more jobs than available employees to hire. So the job market is strong. There's a tremendous need for it. Obviously, what we do is largely technical, and you've been schooled to learn some of the things that you do, but also how to think, how to look at things analytically, how to address problems. And there's always a need for that. So that need continues to be out there. You may be considering, should I go work at a CPA firm or should I go into private industry? And a lot of times the common advice is that a CPA firm is a great place to get a foundation because you see the variety, you work on different clients, you learn from others who have come up through the ranks, and they can provide a great training base for you. And you just get a well-rounded view of what the accounting and finance world looks like. So that's a common reason why a lot of people come out of school and go into a CPA firm, because it lays a great foundation for you. I always say you should probably, we always want people to stay here forever, but that isn't always the reality. But I usually advise people that if they go to work at a CPA firm, they should probably stay in the firm or a firm for 5 or 6 years. After 5 or 6 years, the skill set that you'll acquire will carry you for the rest of your career. You learn a lot, even just in the first few years. You immediately get assigned to clients, you get exposed to different industries, you get exposed to different sets of problems, and it doesn't take long before you start to build a really good skill set. The other thing that would be in it for you is that we're always learning. I've been doing this for a while, and every single day I'm learning something new. And if you ever saw some sort of a survey that talks about what's one of the greatest sources of satisfaction, a lot of people will say learning, and I think that's true. And if you come to work for a CPA firm, there's a different issue every day, different company. You'll learn how to solve not only technical problems, but also people problems and how to communicate with clients. They're all different. And so you learn a lot in those first 5 or 6 years. So I would definitely, encourage you to certainly look at our firm and other firms as well. Again, in terms of what does it mean to you? The compensation coming out of school for an accounting graduate is strong. It's that's the other good news. It's one of the stronger initial compensation packages that coming out of school is for accounting majors. So that part is another big plus. And then what's interesting also, and I'll kind of leave you with this before you move on, is that once you build that foundation and you get that skill set and you have knowledge in a few different areas that I just discussed, then at some point, the real value is that where it goes from there is up to you. You now have the ability, you have the exposure, you have the skill set. There's definitely a demand for accountants and CPAs and business advisors. And then you're able to
I should
kind
just go in now so Mark knows that I'm there, right?
to control your own path from there. So I think that's one of the real benefits, especially at a firm our size, where once you have some experience and you're working with a number of different people, how well you're doing, how well your career is going, is usually pretty clear because you're working with different people. We do evaluations, we talk around, and it becomes pretty obvious as to those that are excelling. So I think that's another benefit too of a firm our size. There's not a lot of red tape. They're on corporate headquarters somewhere. We're all pretty close to one another, and I think that helps as well as you move through your career. The last thing I will leave you with is how has the virus impacted all of this? How has it impacted business and the CPA world? I think everyone in all industries, including ours, there was a shock there way back in March. Certainly business slowed down a little bit, but we're fortunate in our business that most of our business was deferred for a few months, but it really wasn't lost. And now that we're into September, most of whatever business didn't occur back in March and April has come back. And so another thing to keep in mind is that as we run into different crises, and this has been proven before, this is a pretty resilient business and a pretty resilient industry. And so even though there's been some really tough times, and certainly depending on what industry you're in, it's been difficult. By and large, CPA firms have fared just fine. So I encourage you to ask questions as you go through the rest of the day, and certainly check us out on the internet, or anyone you talk to today, follow up with them. We're happy to answer any questions. I know this is a difficult process for everyone as you start to try to sort all this out, but you should rest assured that for the major that you'll be graduating with, there are definitely some good jobs out there. We hope that some of you join us, and hopefully you'll have a great day.